My name is Mila, and I'm leading an international radio in Berlin for youth and by youth. And the topic which I'm facing now during my lecture is how to work with interactive media and how youth and young people can be involved in the process of media production. It means radio production and also TV production, but we will focus mostly on radio today. Therefore, I would like to focus the topic of out in the world out in the world with microphone, because with microphone we can reach a lot of people abroad, and also we can connect each other between different communities, between different countries, and and we can live the cultural diplomacy and the cultural dialogue. Actually, I would like to have a picture of the radio, if it is possible to show you some impressions of YCBS, which means Youth Connected by Sounds. But, okay, so as long as it will be prepared, I will continue with some details and facts. Nowadays, all of us, and especially young people, listen to radio via internet or mobile phones, I think. Are you listening to radio? And which kind of radio channels do you know? Not, but the kind of channels, private, public. And we have also community radios. Community radios as well. And we have also educational channels in Germany, as for example, but also in other countries. In France, also in the Czech Republic as well, I mean in Europe. We have a very well-developed community radio system in Africa, actually. I'm not the specialist of Africa, not at all, but and I don't know how community radios are working with schools and universities. That is what I don't know, but there are especially a lot of community radio stations, which is not that typical for Europe, for countries in Europe. But we have a lot of educational radio channels, not a lot, but they are also some. And of course the big ones, BBC, in Germany, RBB, Rundfunk Berlin-Brandenburg, and some others. So the listeners can enjoy radio programs in different languages from every corner of the world. This is what YCBS aims with its programs. Young people have an access to educationally and culturally valuable contents available online, and therefore it is useful to complement radio features, radio dramas, or so-called radio documentaries, and radio shows with text and pictures. This kind of educational media which we are creating is an internet media, which you can listen with the mobile, on tablets, and on the PC. They are pictures, texts, audios, and further links. The productions can be listened to unlimitedly, even though they were produced long time ago. The users are encouraged to get involved with the presented topics and to comment the stories that interest them most. So you are not only the listeners in the course of these programs, but you are also someone who is giving comments, ideas, and is contributing in another way to the program and to the content of such interactive youth media. The youngsters or the young people, students, but also everybody, not only them. They are also the, teachers and entrepreneurs. All of them are invited to actively participate in the radio projects, providing their own contents, ideas, by means of radio and web radio. A radio station providing such possibilities is, even I mentioned YCBS, they are also another one. For instance, in Nantes, France, is another such channel. It is called Radio Nantes. A radio station providing such possibilities is also one very big radio channel in Georgia, Tbilisi. This is, in the meantime, we have also the picture of YCBS. We have a production in different languages. There are about 15 languages. The main languages are German and English. And, we would like to make the cultural dialogue real and authentic, and therefore we are producing multilingual. We are not only producing radio documentaries and radio stories, but also live programs on radio and also multilingual. Also, even today, we had produced a live program on community radio in Berlin. Also, not only community, this is also civic radio called Alex Open Channel Radio. And the moderators, they are students and young professionals, they discussed about caricature, satire, and comic in Germany and France. And the languages of the program were Greek, German, and English. And this is working very well, so I would like to give some audio examples, but actually I prepared this. This is one example from Accra. Okay, we are not really very closely working with Africa, but we have a colleague who is making radio workshops in schools in Accra. And these young children, they are 14 or 15 years old, I think, they contributed to this workshop as others. And we can listen to one excerpt of the audio as an
Good evening. Okay, I want to, every one of you supposed to present himself, say his name, his age, and where do you live. Okay, can you say? Start with you.
Okay, my name is Sandra, and I come from Kumasi in the Asante region. And I am 13 years old.
And you?
My name is Mefia. I come from Kumasi. And I live at Accra. I am 14 years old.
And both of you, I understand you are sisters?
Yes.
From the same mother?
Yes.
And the same father?
Yes.
And did you born in Kumasi or in Accra?
Kumasi.
So why did you move to Accra?
Because of business, that's why.
Business?
Yes.
Okay. And you go to school?
Yes.
Which class you go, Sandra?
Now I'm moving to Form 1.
To Form 1. And you?
Form 2.
Form 2. Great. So what you like the most in the school?
The subject I like.
The most subject that you like?
I like math.
Math?
Yeah, mathematics and, let me see, RME.
RME?
Yeah.
What is it, RME?
That's religious and moral education.
And you?
I like science
Science.
and home econs.
So what you learn about science?
We learn about maybe if you sleep with somebody, you get pregnant.
This is an interview with these girls who are the students of my colleague, but if you are interested to listen to it in the future, you can take a look at the webpage of YCBS. So we have also another audio examples now, also a story of a student from Macedonia who is living and studying in Iceland, and she is studying creative writing, and she produced one story from her homeland Macedonia for YCBS, and I would like also give you an example of this story, so one excerpt just, maybe.
I loved you even before I met you, Elena Ilkova. Before you were born and while you were floating in my womb, I saw you in a dream. In the dream, you were only a day old. I was pushing you in a pram fully covered with a thick black cover. Because of it, I couldn't see you. It seemed as if I had never seen you before either. Yet, I felt your presence intensely. It was emitting waves that aroused dear and tranquil emotions, I must say. You are made of stars, do you know that? I am such a silly mother. You arrived on the earth just a second ago. How would you know? Nevertheless, please remember it. It will make you feel transcendent. I have been silly again. Don't bother with this big word, transcendent. People use it only when they want to sound clever. I should have put it in a different way instead. It will make you feel part of the wall, or it will make you feel as if you are the wall itself. There it is. I fixed it. Me, you, your father, everybody and everything on the earth is made of stars, except of hydrogen, of course.
Okay, good. This is one excerpt of this contribution by this young woman from Macedonia. She wrote an essay for the radio and for YCBS to her son. And she was pregnant in the time during she created this essay, and she wanted to tell her son the story of her home city, Strumica in Macedonia, and and of her family, and the grandma, the grandpa, and everything surrounded this woman in her home land and in her environment. But she is now very far away from her homeland, and therefore she wanted to create this story as a document for her son. We have, of course, also another examples, but I would like to continue first with some facts of the radio work, and then I will give you another example of a radio project called Crossing Barriers, Understand the Other. This was a multinational project as well, and it focuses on the topic barriers and living together with the differences. First of all, I would like to continue with some interesting, I think, facts around YCBS and its work. And they are also concerning a bit the continent Africa and Europe. It's rare to see young people here in Europe. Mirta Lorenzo, chief of the Media Capacity Building section at the UNESCO Paris, says. In the countries of Africa, Asia, and South America, the young people are the majority of their societies. Especially in Africa, we can find a well-developed network of community radios that maybe not, but also maybe yes, with educational profile. Radio is relatively cheap media, therefore it is used in the developing countries as a main media tool. YCBS is an educational radio channel about culture, founded in Berlin in December 2011 by me. It connects young people from different countries all around the world. The main radio genre of YCBS is the radio feature. This is some kind of radio documentary. If some of you are listening a lot to BBC, they know the genre radio feature. The radio feature is a very artistic radio form that influences the listeners in a very emotional way by means of voices, music, noises, and sound effects. The production of radio feature is very expensive normally. In Germany, they are produced mainly by the public media stations, radio stations, but also the team of YCBS considers it as a very valuable, and as a result, radio features are a very vital part of this platform. Radio partners of YCBS are organizations as Goethe Institute Paris, as Goethe Institute Budapest, also the German Foreign Ministry, F+D, this is a German-French cultural project, and radio in Padua called BUE, also Istituto Italiano, and other agencies and organizations. So YCBS has at the moment about 45,000 listeners, and we have partners in more than 20 countries. The International Youth Radio, YCBS, is producing not only radio features, it is also conducting live programs, multilingual, as I mentioned before. We are also initiating radio projects in different countries and in different languages. Preparing and conducting radio project needs some work phases as choosing the participants and the partners, as well as the geographical region, also the political topic has to be actual. Also the politics and economy are also close connected to the topics of YCBS. The project has to be proceeded in many places. The radio project has to be proceeded in many places, which include teaching radio, research of the topic, interviews, writing the moderation parts, composing the radio feature story, and last but not least, studio production. We are conducting these radio workshops in many places, in different countries, because our aim is also to connect young people and to have a cultural dialogue and cultural exchange between different groups of young people. You know, we have in Europe still now a lot of barriers and a lot of differences, and I think in that way radio is a good tool to overcome such barriers. Also, we mentioned the barriers between Europe and Africa, the mistrust and the lack of information. And this we would like to make here, to give a voice to different people, experts, young people, to know, to connect people and to provide information. Yeah? I would like to give you an internal view of this project and what we have discussed during the project, and the main focus of the topic. We asked each other, how do I live in my neighborhoods? Who are my neighbors? Where do I meet my friends or exercise my hobbies? Where do I spend my free time? Which languages are spoken in my neighborhood? How are the streets and the subway station named? The Berlin Wedding neighborhood, this is the Berlin Wedding is a central part of Berlin. It is also part of Berlin Mitte. We created the project there, and we researched all of our researches we made in this district. Do the inhabitants of Wedding and Mitte live together? Because the inhabitants of the district Mitte are mostly rich people, so in comparison to the people who are living in Berlin Wedding, but all of them are living in the same district, actually. Crossing barriers in the everyday life as well as during holidays could mean celebrating Christians and Muslim traditions together, being curious about the other traditions, and also having friends from different cultures. Is it dangerous to have a mosque in my district? Not at all. It is possible to live together with our differences. This is the main message of this project. In the center of Sofia, a synagogue, church, and mosque are situated very close to one another. At the Hebrew and English school in Sofia, pupils with different cultural backgrounds learn together. Although only 30% are of Jewish ancestry, all students start to learn Hebrew language in first grade. The Protestant and Catholic communities in Derry, Londonderry, because the city, students from that city also participated in that project, live mostly in a religious segregation, but there is also a school which opens its doors for all pupils and their families regardless of their religion. The international radio YCBS conducted this project with schools from Berlin, Wedding, the district which I mentioned before, also with the school, Hebrew and English school in Sofia, and also with the school from Derry, Londonderry. And the pupils created in the end radio features in 3 languages, English, Bulgarian, and Turkish. Turkish, why? Because the students of Berlin Wedding are most of them from Turkish ancestry and Arabic ancestry. And I think if we are giving voice to these people who are living with different languages, we show respect to them, and also the other people receive more information about their culture, the neighbors, the friends, and the people who are living with representatives of the minorities. So in that way, we are doing integrational work and also giving the floor to these people to tell their story in their mother language. Our radio project took place in Berlin Wedding im Haus der Jugend. That means House of Youth, for youth. And the house was built up by the Americans after the World War II. It was a central point of cultural events in the neighborhood, and it was used as a hostel for youngsters from Israel who spent their holidays there. Nowadays, it is not possible to invite youngsters from Israel in that house because the neighborhood is 90% of the neighborhood are people from the Middle East and Turkey. And they are, some potentials for conflicts and cultural clashes, and therefore this house is just open for the neighborhood of the people who are living close to this house. Also today, Haus der Jugend is gather point for people from different cultural backgrounds. In the house are different projects from the field of education, culture, and media. And there are some pictures of the project. Also, the youngsters from Derry, Londonderry, made a live program on our radio project at BBC in Derry. They represented the topic, and they brought some pieces of our production to their country. And yeah, I have to stop Okay, so now you have the first impressions of YCBS. You are also kindly invited to send your ideas, comments, and maybe contributions, and to enlarge, with the aim to enlarge our network. Thank you for your attention.